All right, got to get better at my transitions. Hope everybody's doing good today. I've had better days. I'm not gonna lie. Down probably 175, maybe 180 even, between all accounts. So it's been pretty rough. A lot of that getting hit with Bitcoin specifically, and then also miners. Even MicroStrategy, as I speak, is down 7%. So everything Bitcoin just took a massive shit along with most of the stock market. I think some of that probably ties in with a conversation that Tom Lee had on CNBC, and then just also some of the economic data that we saw today, showing more economic weakness. And then we have a lot going on if you think about it, guys. We have the potential in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, on the 18th. No, 2 weeks. On the 18th, to have the Fed drop rates 25 bips, maybe 50 if we keep going like this. We also have the potential for President Trump to be arrested on that same day, with some people talking about him going to Rikers Island. I think that would be a little overdramatic, but hey, man, who knows? And then we have an election that's going to be tight for almost 8 more weeks. So, is it possible that we have a downturn for the next several weeks or 8 weeks like Tom Lee's talking about? And we'll watch that video in a second. Maybe. It's very possible. There is a reason why with anything I've touched options, I'm going out at least a year, if not 2 plus. So again, downturns can always happen. And yeah, smash the like if you guys are here. Justin, Jesse, if BTC doesn't have a market makers like traditional markets and companies don't hold enough to affect the price. I think I've heard this question like 5 times. How does BTC react to macro news events like RFK backing Trump, etc.? I think I've already answered that like at least 2 or 3 times. So I'm probably going to leave that one alone, man. You need to go back and watch the videos where you asked for them last time. I do think there are market makers. I've said that all 3 times. They have that in every market because you have dark pools, you have exchanges that have to have market makers in order to be able to basically run the exchange and handle the volumes, right? That's a lot of how it works. That's why we have OTC markets too, to be able to work with some of those people. So they do have those things, and Bitcoin's the most volatile, high volume, easily tradable asset on Earth. So if there's some crazy black swan over the weekend, and something bad has happened, depending upon what that event is, Bitcoin could take a massive shit. Probably would if somebody was looking to open up liquidity over the short term. So I think you always have to think about that. You have to, because people are going to pull from whatever is easiest to pull from. And if Bitcoin is the easiest thing, you're going to see a bunch of sells that would happen for that so that they can buy the dip on the other markets. And it'd be a cascade, but it would cause a drop, most likely. So you have to always be ready for those. Just think about this. Think about what happened 4 years ago, roughly around March of 2020. Think about what happened then, this last cycle, when we had COVID. Are we going to have another COVID? No. Is Trump getting arrested going to be pretty bad? I don't know. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. But if something like that were to happen and Bitcoin drops 50% in a period of several weeks, you have to be mentally prepared for that. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But again, history tells us, it gives us lessons where you can get crushed over short periods of time. But the direction is up. So I want to be very clear. It's still up. So that's why I bought today. I don't know if I have the portfolio pulled up. I did post it on X. But I bought like at least $35,000, $40,000 worth of CleanSpark. I bought some Hood. I think I might have picked up a couple of DLO contracts. I don't know if they closed. So I'm buying the dip still. I funded that mostly with ETH and ETHY. These were down 1 to 2% on the day. And they've held up pretty good. On some of my other accounts where I haven't really sold any at all, I'm still up 30% on ETH and ETHY. From where I was at before. I was going to sell some of that today too, because it's my long-term hold account. And I was like, well, maybe I'll take some losses. But I can't because it was up, but 30% since I bought it. But see, that's the thing. Like, I don't have high confidence right now in Ethereum. I just don't. When I looked at the transaction volume, somebody was showing like a ridiculously low amount of volume per day. Except like it was a stupid low number compared to what you're seeing from Bitcoin, compared to what you're seeing from Solana, and again, it might bounce like all the other stuff, but it's just my least highest conviction bet. So I sold some of that barely down today, and then I put, again, all in all, probably like 40, maybe 50,000 into Hood and CleanSpark, probably 40. All right, so real quick, we're going to jump. If you guys have any questions about that, and we will talk about CleanSpark, I'll be touching on that in a second too, for sure, because I'm sure people have lots of questions. Maybe we'll even, no, let's do economic stuff. Then we'll jump further down into that. All right, real quickly, I wanted to talk to this. I'm going to try and roll through these fast. Part of this is political, so I'm going to try and be quick about it. I said our forefathers were brilliant for pushing for a multi-state system where they can all have their own set of rights and decision-making, because like a petri dish, we can test and see what works, and in real time, we can decide what we like better. And I said, just ask Gavin Newsom from California how he feels about the 500,000 people fleeing the state. It sounds like he's just going to fill them with illegal immigrants. So there's that. But again, the whole point, this was off of something where I think Kevin O'Leary had talked about how he won't do business in all these like woke cities and states anymore because he doesn't want to deal with all the bullshit that goes along with that. And I think there's a lot to say about that when it comes to business. And again, I think America's got a pretty good system. It might be really broke right now, but we'll see how it turns out. And again, I think it's still resilient, even if it does continue to go broke. All right, Nick's order. Real quick, major stock indexes are falling with the Dow down 500 points. I think it might be down more than that now. Even MSNBC is blaming it on fears of the health of the economy and manufacturing slow in the country in August. I do think that's a lot of it right now that's happening. Marty Party had something that's pretty insightful, and I wanted to share it. It just shows debt to GDP. And I'll speak to what he's talking about here in a second, but I wanted to show the chart. It says total public debt to GDP ratio. It shows how the public debt to GDP got really high, and what did we do? We had a civil war. It shows how the public debt to GDP got really high, and we had World War I. It shows how World War II, the debt to GDP got really high, and then we had World War II. I would argue that we're going to set a higher high before we have this problem again, but being over 100% debt to GDP is dangerous territory. And the military-industrial complex has made it very clear throughout history, or at least I should say this, you can't even blame it on that. There's just tensions that arise from massive debt loads. There's fiscal tensions, and it bleeds into all kinds of stuff. And then when you're importing illegal immigrants, it could only get worse. And that's happening across the world where the West is concerned. So there's the potential of war, and I think it's something that you need to think about. I want to read this real quick. Marty Party's very insightful. He's friends with James from Invest Answers and a lot of other just really smart people. I'm going to read it quick. U.S. debt to GDP is the biggest problem on Earth. Explains everything. There's pending sovereign debt spiral. This post is to inform you and into action, not scare you into action. Digest and start learning. He said, where we are. Welcome to World War II debt without a world war. Elon Musk talks about this, but perhaps you didn't listen. There is no world war. Why is the debt to GDP so high? Government spending on useless programs and useless policies. And I'm sorry, he might not have these lined up exactly with when the wars occur. I might have to go back and look at the data points to line that up myself. And if I do, I'll probably follow up on a post for this. It says useless programs and useless policies with no debt ceiling and infinite money printing. Any politician not addressing this as priority number one is compromised. Don't vote for them. He says this will force financial repression by the government. I do agree with that. I think that'll happen. He said they'll force capital controls. They did it on the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs by forcing in cash redemption and creation. He's right. And are going to force banks to loan them money, your money in the bank. I do think that this is a real potential for a problem in the future, not right now. It says you will not be able to access your money or stocks and any cash-settled asset, including your house. And if they'll control how much you can access there. They could do that through taxation. Anybody who's pushing really big taxes right now, you should be frightened of. If somebody's talking, like, I don't know, Kamala Harris about large unrealized capital gains tax, a massive increase in corporate taxes, and then again, this is the same person who signed off the bill, the last person to help the deciding vote to tax, to be aggressive about taxing tips for people. Now all of a sudden we're flipping around the other direction, but there will be massive forms of taxation if we let things get this far. If Elon Musk and others like RFK can really strip government down, and Vivek is huge about this, and reduce the size of the FBI, reduce the size of the FDA, streamline these, technologically innovate, get them out of our daily lives. If you can reduce the size of spending dramatically while investing in Bitcoin and at the same time being pro-growth, then we can get ourselves out of this. But if we don't, this is what's happening, right? Like, this is the thing that's going to happen. And he says in here, you will not be able to access your, yep, we already said that part. He said, wake up. If you have wealth to protect for your family and for your future, act now. The later you start, the more capital control you'll face, and the higher the chance of capital flight, bank runs, market crashes, etc. So he's right that there's potential for this, right? But there's a lot of things that matter in the next year that are going to help decide that. The government has very much in their ability to be able to balance the bond market right now and print money. The question is, how long will they have that? If Kamala starts going for $10 trillion spending bills, she wanted to do 4 before, then it might happen a lot sooner than later. Again, if we streamline and make things better, it might not happen at all. Because again, we've got robotics, autonomy, AI, and everything else. So I just wanted to talk to this post. It's probably the longest one I'm going to talk to right now. He said, and then we'll look at markets right after this. Sorry, guys. He said, what are you doing with this information? It says the S&P 500 election cycle versus the current S&P 500. And we can see previous election cycles. So you can see election cycle the last 10 years, 5 years, and then just over the last year. And if you look here, previous 5 years, we saw a large drop. And 10-year averages, we saw a drop, at least heading into October. Or sometime in October, right? So could this happen? Sure. Is everyone thinking it'll happen? Yes. And then Jake said, almost looks like this year has moved opposite to average. It does kind of look like that. No, he's right. Look at this. Look at this here. Down, up, down, up, down, up. God, he's right. Isn't that weird? It looks like it looks like actually when this is dropping the previous years, that we see this skyrocketing up. This is very insightful. This is why I love Jake. He lives in Colorado, not too far away from me. He's a good dude. But yeah, that's very insightful information. So if anything, and again, Tom Lee just telegraphed to the whole world, that the next 8 weeks could be brutal. And I agree with that. But it is interesting to note that this has been inversed, where what used to happen used to be really down. Over here, it looks like it's probably up. Very interesting. All right, Winsmart said, M2 money supply is now expanding. And he's right, it is. We're in positive expansion territory, and I think that's going to continue. So can we go down in September? Sure, anything can happen. And we'll look at charts and see how they're doing and see how well they manage the carnage right after this. This is Tom Lee. We're going to listen to it. This is
September's not great.
This is what killed markets today, I think, along with the manufacturing data, which we're going to look at in a second.
Great. We know, we always make lows in October, or we have many, many times, which means usually a lot of times September was not great.
I think investors should be cautious for the next 8 weeks. September.
Next 8 weeks, be cautious.
Yes.
You're not always cautious.
That's right. Market's been up 7 of the 8 months this year, so we know it's an incredibly strong market, but we also have the September cuts, and we have the election, things that'll get people nervous. I think in the next 8 weeks, people get a chance to buy. So I think it's good to be cautious, but
he also thinks we'll have an opportunity to be able to buy and probably find the low over that period.
Just ready to buy that dip.
You have, because you're fearless and you'll say anything, you have in the past actually talked about election-related trades and Trump trades. And do you see anything going on now that indicates anything to you? Bitcoin hasn't been acting very well.
Yeah, Bitcoin hasn't acted well. The two things we're watching to sort of look at how election probabilities are weighed is Bitcoin and energy. I think the fact that oil is being weak, even with some geopolitical risks, tells me I think the market is starting to bet more on a Trump election. But
because there'd be more production.
More production.
Bad
yes.
for price, which is not necessarily the way that you might think about things, because we hear about, we're at records for oil production. No one realizes the reason.
We're going to look at oil in a second, too, right after this, actually.
We're at records in this country is because prices were so high that it caused a lot more drilling and activity, and the prices were high because it's harder to drill without and LNG and everything else the Biden administration did.
Yeah, that's right. So people think oil should be higher here for many reasons, but oil's been weak. So I'd say that's probably the market.
That's China too, though, isn't it?
Yeah, China and.
China is real bad. I owe you guys a lot of videos. So this week for sure I'm doing my mining video. I'm going to try and probably do one on China too, and then I've got a couple of others I need to make, so I'm going to work on all that.
China's becoming a bit more mysterious, right? There's even risk maybe of negative GDP there.
Okay.
Negative GDP in China. Yes, that's happening. I think it's already happening, but it'll probably happen on the data sheets here soon too.
So the next, and funny you said 8 weeks, it's almost exactly 8 weeks, I think. What's that? It's like 63 days or so. So some uncertainty and caution going into the election, but in your view, people should get long.
I think they'll get a chance to buy long, yeah. So I think this is one of those where investors need to be cautious, but in the back of their minds, no, this is a strong market.
All right. Hey, Diego. How's it going, man? I'm going to try and get caught up with charts here soon, too. Also, Andres, Steno Larson, these guys are hit or miss. Actually, let's do this. I want to talk about oil first before we jump into that, and then we'll talk about his, because the oil market is fascinating right now. So, again, I was talking last week about how this is a ugly-looking chart, and I should actually probably draw it by daily so I can make this a little bit cleaner. But if we look here, I was saying, hey, I think this is a descending triangle, and this is probably the better way to draw it. Let me just leave it like that for a second, and then change it to a higher time frame. All right, so I was saying that this looks pretty ugly, and like it's a descending triangle that could break down. I'm going to probably get rid of some of this other stuff, but I did a great job calling oil tops over here, and then I did a great job over here, and then over here, and over here. And now, I think what we're trying to do is find a bottom. What's scary is that if you look at this, and maybe we need to draw it this way on the weekly. Let's do that, actually. It's probably more. Yeah, we probably want to draw it from there. This is nice and clean. So it's more like a descending triangle, and it wants to break down here in order to be able to test further. And I think with narratives about weakness in China, and also fears around the election, because again, one of the things Trump is promising to do is to increase energy generation so much that they reduce costs by 50%. I think it's brilliant to do that. It's exactly what we need to do. But will oil benefit from that? Fuck no, it won't. It won't at all. So I think we're going to see more of this. We're going to see oil taking a dump. All right, back over to manufacturing. So, this is interesting. Andres said rebound in U.S. manufacturing canceled, and he showed about how it's continuing to roll over. And again, maybe that's what's happening. Let's take a look, though, real quick at some of that data. And we're just going to run through all the data points from today. There's a lot of them, but I want to look at all of them real quick here, except for the bill stuff. We don't care about the bill action, even though we do need to look at bonds. All right, so logistic managers index. It looks like we were previously 56.5. We're 56.4 now. There's nothing really to see here. It's in expansion territory. Could it be rolling over? Maybe. Kind of looks like it's forming a circle. Maybe. S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. So the Purchase Managers Index. So in here, let's see what we have over. Oh, I guess I don't have historical to reference. Whatever. We fell pretty sharp into contraction territory here, and I don't know if it's just not generating at all. Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe there aren't estimates still. I guess we just have previous because it's a roll-up. So, again, pretty strong contraction. At least in July, we were doing better. We were at like the mid-level mark, and now we're dropping into contraction territory. So it's not super great. We'd like to see better. Let's look at the ISM manufacturing. And again, it rolled over hard. So between Tom Lee's comments and manufacturing looking weak, I think it scared the market. Drill, baby, drill. I agree. That's exactly what we need to do. Kane, Hal Finney video would be super appreciated. Yeah, that's a fun one. That's definitely entertainment. There's just so much important stuff right now. There's so many things that are happening that I think need videos, and politically, just craziness right now that need to be talked about. Let's look at employment. So ISM Manufacturing Employment Index, it was forecast at 43.6, but it was 46. So it's in contraction territory, which isn't great, but it was a little bit better than expected. So employment and hiring wasn't as weak as they thought it was going to be. But again, it's in contraction, still not great. We want it to go the other way. Construction spending month over month was negative 0.3%. And if you look here, I mean, that's the lowest level since October of 2022. So not a lot of construction. Here's my argument here. I think real estate and really the rest of the market is going to see a massive rebound come spring. So I'm not worried about construction spending, honestly. ISM new orders. This is what sucks too. So we were expecting 47.7 and we got 44.6. That's weaker than expected. I still think this is like a W bottom pattern over here because, again, we've been negative for so long in manufacturing. I think we're still going to be strong because we're establishing new relationships with other entities that are moving out of China. That's my thesis. Now, this sucks. So ISM manufacturing prices paid came in at 54. It was forecast at 52.8 and 52.5. That isn't great. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see prices going up while we're seeing weakness in the overall markets. We'd like to see, and again, I don't think inflation's an issue. If anything, I'm more worried about deflation, so I'm not too concerned about this. But we don't want more pain to be put on the lower rungs of society, the bottom 1/3. We just don't want that, man. There's already so much chaos going on. Albeit, though, maybe if the economy is doing, or at least there's a perception of the economy doing bad over the next 8 weeks, that helps Trump's odds. But if the data points look better over the next week, maybe it helps Kamala's. I don't know, from a political landscape. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Anyway, this is the bulk of it. Let's go to economic optimism index too. So the interesting thing is we're seeing people getting less pessimistic, but we've been so low. The pessimism levels from the economic optimism index have been negative 50 since September of 2021. So 3 years we've been in the doldrums. Now, again, we've had periods where we can be in the doldrums for a while on the economic optimism and still do well, but it's been a lot deeper and longer than anything we've seen in a long time. So, are we going to start seeing more positivity? I think it depends on who gets elected. I genuinely think that this election means a lot because you're literally talking about like a more communistic, slow growth president who hasn't talked about expanding energy at all, and if anything, believes in the Green New Energy Deal, where maybe you expand solar and renewables, but you start cutting back on other forms like oil and gas, and that would be pretty crazy, I would think. So I believe the election is going to have a massive impact on what happens here going forward. Real quickly, on the layoff front, we're not seeing a lot. Still seeing, again, San Francisco Bay is just like the loser of losers. Character.ai, Brave, the browser company, Apple laid off 100. IBM laid off 1,000, but that was in Beijing, and that was back on 8/27. So we really haven't seen a lot of major layoffs. We haven't had this number change much. We still have about 55% of the layoffs we had in 2023 over about 75 to 80% of the time. So it doesn't seem that bad right now in regard to layoffs. Let's look at Fear and Greed Index, then we'll roll down the indices. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place today. Just having some fun. I got a feeling the 65 on greed will start to level off a little bit tomorrow into the neutral territory because it seems like it's heading that way. When you have NVIDIA down, almost 10%, we'll look at that in a second too. I think we're probably not as greedy as this is currently indicating. Let me just refresh too and make sure that isn't hung up in some way. I thought I did. Yeah, that's insane to me. That doesn't even make sense. Now, we're going to be the opposite in the crypto world. We're in fear territory, almost in extreme fear. So, again, just a very wacky world when it comes to fear and greed right now. And I would say that stock one is going to be a lot lower tomorrow if we continue to see any downside. Now, let's look at the CME Fed Watch tool. Make sure we got the latest and greatest here, too. All right, so we're seeing 63% chance of one rate cut and a ever-growing increase of 2 rate cuts. So we're at 37%. So we could see 2 rate cuts. Wouldn't that be crazy if that actually happens? Let's real quickly look at that blood redness of the stock market index. And what do we have? Yeah, 9.53% on NVIDIA. I'll scroll this down a hair. Can I scroll it down a hair? Maybe I need to do this instead. Does that make it visible? Not really. Right there. Okay. 9.53% for NVIDIA. Just blood red across markets. The only thing that did well today, non-durables, utilities, health services, communications. Maybe utilities did all right because of potentially low oil prices, increasing margins, like not lowering the costs right away for people and absorbing, some better margins for a period of time. I don't know. But very fascinating that those outperformed today. And then again, telecommunications did well. Visa did okay, but a lot of blood red, across the board today. All right, crypto index. How does that look? Actually, not bad outside of this. So let me say this: Bitcoin didn't really get devastated today, but CleanSpark, Bitcoin miners, MicroStrategy, all crypto-related stuff from the stock side, the things you can invest in, got really beat up. But really, if you look at the levels we were at, like this is last Friday shit right now. And we'll look at the Bitcoin chart probably right now. This is a good transition for that. All right, so I did make a post. My post said, hey, and it actually started the arrows down here. Actually, let me find that real quick. I'll pull it up. That's probably a good idea. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about under U.S. economy. I don't think there was much more. We covered oil. There might be like 1 or 2 quick points. This shouldn't be allowed. Talking about real estate. Oh, yeah, just people buying real estate. I won't give you the whole JFK thing or Robert FK. Yeah, JFK's dead. My bad. But Robert Kennedy Jr. Thing. But essentially, it's that large companies like BlackRock shouldn't own a bunch of U.S. real estate. Somebody else pointed out Airbnb maybe should have some restrictions. I agree with both of those things until we can get adequate housing. But I don't know. I think maybe the biggest fucking one is not having, 10 to 20 million illegal immigrants in our country in the next several years. Ooh, that hurt. Sorry, alert going off. Also, real quick, there are a few more. I'm going to touch on this, and then we'll jump back over to Bitcoin. Ryan posted, yes, September isn't usually a good month for stocks, but remember, it's the second half when the real trouble starts. So he's saying it's going to drop off in the second half. It might not be right now. This also, Unusual Whales put 40% of NVIDIA's revenue comes from familiar names amongst the Magnificent Seven companies, and so that's true. Didn't help NVIDIA today as it dropped 10%. And then my chart from last week where I was saying, hey, I think we got support right here, obviously didn't turn out well. That's the thing. Over a short period of time, I can be wrong. It can happen. These are only probabilities. Remember this stuff. All right, real quick. I said free trade backed by the U.S. military, along with a love of capitalism and free markets, are the reason we're still the world reserve currency. So somebody was pointing about how the dollar was backed by our military, and I do agree with that. But also, too, it's backed by the fact our markets allow capitalism, and they're some of the freest markets on earth, even though there can be some corruption in them, obviously. Most of it, though, seems to be from the government nowadays. But the thing is, we still have this going for us. And as long as we can keep ourselves from going really stupid and like doing $4 trillion packages and start talking about reparations and, $25,000 house price, discount things for illegal immigrants, as long as we can avoid really absurd policies that just really accelerate the money printer, then I think we can save ourselves, and I think we can maintain world reserve status a lot longer than people say. TrendSpider, this probably didn't age well. We'll have to look at the charts here in a second, and we will. But he showed the SPY and how bullish it was. He also showed how we had a nice bounce here, and it looked like we were breaking higher, and there was some potential to fill a gap on the QQQ. But all these things are on delay, right? He's talking about market breadth expanding. First time higher for the year. All of that's gone. This just shows, again, you can have a lot of really positive things from a fundamental standpoint or a technical standpoint or a macro standpoint that are going on your side, and the math can still go in the other direction. Did I think we were going to drop in September? No. Do I think we've suffered enough abuse? Yes. Does that mean we have? No. It doesn't mean it has to. All right, speculators have turned bearish on the US dollar for the first time since February. We need to look at all these things. So let's look at Bitcoin, or actually before we get to Bitcoin, let's real quickly run through the indices and the dollar and everything else, bonds, and then we'll go to back to Bitcoin. So the SPY today, how much did we lose? We were down 2.12%. One could argue that we are back testing peak volumes over this shorter time frame, and by shorter time frame I mean going back to 2023. So maybe we're back testing here before we go higher. One could make that argument. Does it have to be true? No. It could go lower, but we're down 2.12% on the S&P. The NASDAQ, down 3.15. So again, so much of this NVIDIA, I think. It is at the 100 moving average. Is this a place where we're going to bounce? Maybe. It definitely could be. The 100 moving average, let's see, has it shown support? I mean, it showed support here in March of 2023. It didn't work over here in the later part of 2023. It did drop underneath, but kind of find support in April and May of 2024. So again, it could stop here, but it could also go to the .618 or the 200 moving average again for one more retest before going higher. I don't think we're rolling over. I just don't. I really don't. But yeah, the NASDAQ took a much bigger hit. How'd the Russell do? The Russell down 3.09. So a little bit better than the NASDAQ, but it's, again, not looking great. But I do like the fact we're finding some support over here. And it does make sense that we would hit resistance over here with all of this volume that we have going back years. Like, we're back into the 2018. I mean, we can go way back, right? It's like the beginning of time. So this is really a key resistance area. You can see it on the Russell. It's not crazy that we're dropping out of it. All right, let me get caught up with chat a little bit here. We'll definitely look at CleanSpark while we're looking at Bitcoin here, guys. That is one we will talk about thoroughly along with news. Les Walter said CleanSpark July 2025, 37s today, bought at 133, so averaging at about 1. I hope they treat you well. I mean, here's the thing that we have going for us, right? We have like 10, 11 months to hit this level, and I think the chance of Bitcoin going up over that time is really great. If Kamala gets elected, could it not happen? Maybe, but even then, they're going to be spending so much money that any gut reaction of prices dropping, I think, would turn around into there's going to be a lot of dollars through money printing, and at least depending upon what level of power either party gets from Congress and the House. That's going to be important too. I do think those things are leaning towards Trump right now. But one could make the case they're not. I do think the polling, though, indicates that. And if you guys are curious, I'll be doing a video talking about political stuff and also about polling and where I believe the polls actually are and why. So if you're interested about that stuff, check it out tomorrow morning. MB, there are a few things doing well. Unilever 25 calls up 25%. Wow, cool, man. MB, TLT up 2%. Yeah, and TMF was up like 5% on the day. We'll look at that in a second. Kane, do miners have move first in these days? Yes, usually. When they find a bottom, you'll know you're finding a bottom in Bitcoin most likely because miners won't be dropping anymore, and maybe Bitcoin drops even more than the miners. And so when the miners start outperforming, you know you've got a bottom, or you know you're like well into a bull market. One of the two, right? Celis, I still think we'll have a market run for the rest of the year, except. Yeah, again, though, we could have a black swan, though. If Trump gets arrested in 2 weeks, if shit gets weird with rate cuts, I don't know. It could still happen. But like we saw in that chart, it looks like based from 5-year and 10-year historical trends that the market's actually been doing the opposite of that and booming at times where it should be busting. Will that happen? I don't know. Is Tom Lee right? I don't know. We'll find out. Andrew Kershaw. The spike in debt to GDP was because of the wars, not leading up to the wars. Yeah, they could be. They could be. I'd have to go back and look for sure. That's one thing. I don't know the data point well enough. I'll take you at face value and then I'll confirm it, Andrew. 2 a.m. I thought the alarm was a police officer. Sorry. Sorry, dude. Sorry. Dougie Fresh 69 worked out for me selling 80% of everything. I know you look like a genius, Dougie Fresh. Good job, man. Maybe you should be doing this. Celis, U.S. geography is excellent and the country is highly defensible and can produce. Oh, dude, we're so good. We're so good from that front. Yes, we're very strong militarily. That's very, very true. If we needed to defend ourselves, now if we need to defend world trade so that the prices of goods don't explode, that's a whole nother story. We do have a very powerful Navy and should be able to do that. But that's the hardest part for us, right? It's not really defending us. It's defending the world trade order. And that if that doesn't exist and that falls apart with China, with them producing and sending so much out, prices could go higher, right? But yeah, we are very defendable. We're the most defendable country on earth, I would argue. Celis, do you suspect a down week ahead? Is this a part of the pullback? I'm asking anybody. Yeah, fuck, I don't know. Anybody got any thoughts? MB, 20% of the portfolio on S&P 5300 November, possible hedge. Is 20% of the portfolio on S&P 5300 November? I don't know. I don't play with stuff like that very often when it comes to indexes and puts or something. I don't know. I don't touch it. Alex Garcia, Celis, in theory, late September is when we should have seen bad performance. I think markets are going to do opposite. I do too. John, how do you see uranium performing in the energy market dip? I think that's a good question. Maybe they go up. Maybe they go up even more. I should think about that. We should talk about that more, but not right now. Anyway, all right, so I'm caught up with that. Let's look real quickly. We'll look at the dollar, see how we're doing for strength here. Let me just adjust something real quick. My OLED is dimming, and I hate that. It drives me nuts. Okay, so the dollar today has found a little bounce. Again, we've got our previous resistance level. It looks like it's bouncing off of it. Will that continue? I don't know. I think it. I think if anything, we might roll over here in a second and find resistance right here. That is my 2 cents. I think the dollar ends up hitting up over here and we roll over some more, and maybe it takes a long time. Again, this thing could just grind in this range all of this year and next. So I don't know. Maybe I might pay less attention to the dollar outside of just glancing over it because these moves are so inconsequential. So I probably won't give them much thought. Gold down 0.29%. Again, it wants to go higher, but it looks like people are rushing towards liquidity and probably the dollar. We already looked at oil and talked to that. Let's look at the MOVE index and bond volatility. So bond volatility flat on the day, but again, it's had a nice little bounce here. Let's look at the 2-year. The 2-year is down 1.17%, so it really looks like it wants to roll over. If I expand this out to get in a little closer, we're getting close to that wanting to drop range. Let me switch this to the daily just so I can line this up a little bit better. And I probably need to, we're already in it. If you just go over here, if we don't start bouncing, and this could be establishing a range. Let's pretend like it established a range. So it would be something like this. So you'd want to start bouncing right around there. But the 2-year looks like it's rolling over, in my opinion. Does not look strong at all, which means this is the rate. So the rate, again, like I've said, could go to the 2s. It could do it over a short period of time. And if we look at the weekly, it probably bounce or find some strong bottom in the 2.8, 2.9 range. People are rushing to bonds. I do think that will be balanced and controlled, but that's what's happening. Let's look at the inversion. Funnily enough, we stop right at the uninvert and then start to go down. Isn't that funny how that works? And that's why it can be 680. It could just be crazy numbers from the daily percentage. So, but yeah, it looks like we're starting to, again, what I said, I don't think we're going to uninvert yet, and it doesn't look like it wants to. We'll see if that changes, but I think the Fed's going to keep doing their stuff. Now, the dollar gained strength against the won, or the yen. That's good. That's good. No yen carry trade issues, guys. The Chinese won. The dollar gained strength against that. As it was breaking down here, it looks like we're going higher. So we're finding strength across the dollar right now. Again, I don't think the government's going to let that get too strong, or at least they'll take advantage of a strong dollar to release more debt. Put calls. Let's look at this here. Are people buying in? Not really. The put call ratio. Let me just refresh here and make sure that we're not weird. Yeah, no. They're not. We're not really seeing a buy in the dip type thing now. Maybe this will update tomorrow and it'll show it. But right now, we're still in negative territory. We're seeing a drop for the day. Yeah, looks like it. All right, let's see here. That's probably it for that. Let me jump over. I'm going to look at the rest of the Bitcoin stuff. I think that's our next path and what I said I would do. All right, so again, when I'm looking at this chart, I do not see this as a bad thing. We didn't really even have a drop. I think the share dilution for Bitcoin, along with a really risk-off stock market today, where people are locking in bond rates, I think that is what we saw. Bitcoin didn't really drop. So again, all the Bitcoin-related stock stuff just gets fucked when people have stock market concerns. So you get whammy, right? But that's why we get a multiple for Bitcoin miners when they're doing well, is because they can be a multiple to the downside too. All right. Now, but here's the thing I want to look at. I want to look at the monthly chart here. How horrible is all of this? It's not really that bad. It looks like we're still trying to find support over on the left here. And could we drop further? We totally could. We totally could. I mean, maybe it gets insane and we go down to 45. I don't know. But or this 47, 46 range. But again, these wicks up show that there is support here, and I'm still siding with that. So could it go down further? Maybe. I don't care. And again, I'm the long game right now, guys. I'm not a day trader. If you thought you were coming to a day trader, you do not have one. Now look over here. So we have again, MicroStrategy got crushed. My friend Caleb was shitting on Bitcoin miners today, and I was like, bro, I wouldn't shit on them too much yet. Not until you see how MicroStrategy does in the next couple of days, because if the Bitcoin miners are getting smacked, you know it is too. Now, let's look here real quick at the miners. I'm going to do this and then just do this little pie graph. I'm going to sort by miners today. So CleanSpark, utterly fucked, right? When you have another 300 million in convertible, you're going to have a massive amount of share dilution, and you're going to see the price get smacked. That's what happened. Down 15.62% today. Like I said, I added 35K at least to this, maybe 40 into my calls, because I still have high conviction on the 37 target by July of next year. So I'm buying that dip. And even if we don't get 37, I think we're getting in the 30s really easy. Again, what's so important here, and I'll just pull up CleanSpark while we're on that subject before I jump into the rest of these miners. Come on. Come on. All right, so now we got a little gap. We got a gap here. We got a gap here. So we got gaps above us. We are down from the high earlier in the year. This is from, what is this? This is March of 2024. So since March, everybody was so cocky in March. I probably was too. 6 months later, very humbled with a 63% drop. But what have I done with this? I've taken stock and I've used that to buy calls down on these drops. And I'm going to continue to do that. If CleanSpark drops to 8, 12 or whatever, near the 100 weekly moving average, the very lowest level, I'm going to buy that fucking dip. And let me see here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I want to look at previous. I want to expand out. I want to look at volumes more cleanly across the entirety of the price action of this company, right? So let's do that. So if we look here, we see that we really get support around the 750, 740 range where we reach the .382. That would be a very strong level. That would be 70% down from where we were 6 months ago. I'm a very happy buyer in this range if this were to happen, especially with gaps and price action sitting above us all the way to 1328. Massive gaps. These are on the weekly time frame. But these are big gaps. These are gaps. So this is good stuff. Again, well, I guess not here, but we do have one still over here at the 13. So I like it. And if we go that low, I mean, that's a pretty solid drop. That's a pretty solid rollover here. And there's just no way this turns into a head and shoulders. Heads aren't this wide. They just aren't. Mine's pretty big. It's not that wide. All right. Let's just look at others here real quick. We'll roll through them. So MicroStrategy, pretty effed. But again, it still looks like a healthy pattern. If you look here at MicroStrategy, this does look good. This looks like a bull flag potential, right? It looks strong. I think it has the potential. I will give Caleb this. It has the potential to bounce faster, I should say. I don't know about harder, probably not harder, but faster than the miners. So if you're buying the first dip, maybe this is what you buy. I haven't been, but maybe this is what you buy, knowing that it could bounce quicker than the miners. I'm just buying miners. I'm lazy though, so don't follow me on everything. Mara. Marathon Digital. And again, I'm going to have that Bitcoin mining video. I'll be very detailed in it, and I'll be using Sebastian Ski's work along with visual stocks and my own thoughts to talk about it. I still think Mara looks very bullish, more so right now over the short term than CleanSpark. Again, it just has a pattern where it's a nice, at the very least, it looks very much like this, where you're in a falling wedge that isn't even broadening, and that it's got tons of volume support underneath of it. Now, it could still drop, though. It could still drop. And even though this doesn't look bad from here, I mean, again, if it gets to 13, that's probably going to be painful. If for some reason it made it to 11, that would be insanely painful too. And this will have dropped very hard. Let's just look here real quick. We'll just do a little bit of a, I think this is pretty close. So right now we're about 55%. Again, it's a larger cap, so it doesn't drop as much as CleanSpark. Really starts to find support around 60, 61% down. And then again, 66. So it's not going to drop as hard as a CleanSpark has the ability to. But I think when people, again, there's some stuff I'm going to pull up right now, actually, in regard to CleanSpark, like right after we look at a couple more miners, where they're buying the dip. They're using the opportunity to buy the dip, and that's what I think people should be doing too, and that is why I am doing it and talking about it. And again, if you want to be conservative, don't buy options, just buy the stock. I think this has great bounce potential. Even in Mara, I think the bounce potential for our next measured move, where, like, let's say Bitcoin gets to close to 100K, is at least a 200% move for Mara, just the stock. So I don't think this is bad. And again, if I look at look at MicroStrategy here, just now this one's a little bit different. It's gonna probably go to 200, maybe start breaking higher, maybe start making its next move higher. I probably got to reevaluate this chart because it's kind of already made its moves. What I should probably be doing now, actually, and I will just do this real quick, is I should be drawing a more localized top, because this is what's going to matter now as far as the next move, assuming that we don't drop lower than this, okay? As long as we don't drop lower than what we already have, the 100 range, so a pretty decent drop. It could happen, and then I'll have to adjust this. But if it doesn't, this is what we're looking at for the next leg higher, right? So when we get a breakout, we're looking to get to the 285 range on a MicroStrategy. And let me just update that real quick here. So the next breakout zone, and that's not even the measured move. The real measured move would probably be 222, but let's just say that it only makes it to 133%, because this is like a 2 to 3x multiplier versus Bitcoin, whereas miners are 3 to 4, sometimes 5 or 6, depending upon how bullish we're getting. Prithi, thank you for joining. Thank you for the other person that joined. I'm sorry I missed your communication here, but thank you guys very much. Any advice for using options to capitalize on the current price of CleanSpark? I have no experience with that. Watch my Options 101 video first, dude, and then talk to me. You gotta have experience with options if you're going to try and capitalize on this. I don't want anybody going into it blindly. Watch that video and then ask me about it tomorrow, Jake, and then we'll talk. John Nigerian, great to hear about the miner video. Yep, I'll probably try and do that tomorrow. So I'll try and get it out tomorrow. I know I've taken a long ass time. Kane, can I throw a stock pick in for later? Yes, totally. I'll look at that. All right. So again, I want to talk about CleanSpark. So let's go back to that real quick. We'll look at the other chart here in a second too, because I do have a lot to say here. And then we'll talk about more about Bitcoin related news too. So my buddy, Stock Trader Max, showed this. He said, CleanSpark price target maintained with 23 share by Cantor Fitzgerald. So again, they're not getting freaked out. They're still telling people we're going to $23 in short order. And that is a decent amount from where we are. Let's just go back here and look. So we're at 9 right now, and they've still got a $23 price target. So if you were just buying options now or buying the stock now, you're looking at, the potential of 100+% upside. Like I said, I believe 270% between now and the end of the year. My take. So I think that's pretty good news. What else do we have for CleanSpark? I said, you're worried about CleanSpark diluting shareholders. They continue to increase the amount of Bitcoin they're mining month over month since the halving, while aggressively expanding their business to be one of, if not the largest hash rate BTC miner on Earth sometime next year. I would argue that this is exactly what they should be doing right now. We don't want them selling their Bitcoin, at least not yet, not for another 8+ months at the very least. And then I showed their HODL stack and how it's getting progressively higher while they're not selling Bitcoin because they're diluting shares. And that sucks because we're funding this, right? But I think it's important to note that last cycle, this is one of the most tiny miners. It was like cipher mining. And this cycle, they could be the biggest on Earth in regard to Bitcoin hash rate. I think that's important to pay attention to. And I again, that's why I brought it up. And I'll probably be bringing up more here soon too. CleanSpark, 30% move on the way. Jake was pointing to up. Again, Jake is brilliant, but he's not always right? Not always right at all. Now, I did have another one. Shoot, I thought I had it in here, but I must not. So let me just jump over here to Bitcoin, and I'll see if I can find it under there. It was one I had. I've got a question out to Matthew Schultz, and also he had his conversation about their dilution, and I thought it was a really good one. Let me just find him real quick, and then I'll find this other conversation too. Maybe I'll just do this, CleanSpark. He's probably got it attached on their page, so we'll just go there. Sorry I didn't have this ready. I thought I did. All right, right here. So this is Matthew Schultz talking, and I'm just going to read it out here real quick. On the 31st at 4:23 p.m. Here's what he had to say. And then I'll talk about a couple other things here too. Several years ago, CleanSpark increased its authorized shares from 100 million to 300 million. Since then, we've grown from a $200 million company to a multi-billion-dollar company. We're still not even at 300 million share level, years after the fact that they said they were going to do this. So he's telling you, hey, we put this we basically put out this number that we're trying to hit, and it's going to take a while to get to it, and we haven't even spent all the amount that we had just to go to our last target, and look at where we are already. So he's saying it can take a while, but what they're doing is, again, going much higher. So after extensive consultation with advisors, attorneys, and the board, the company determined that a simple increase in the authorized shares was in the best interest of the shareholders, and the proxy was approved by unanimous consent. The company filed that for that proxy last Friday. This is where you want to become the biggest Bitcoin miner right now. You want to do that now. You want to have lots of Bitcoin now, and then you want to be able to sell that for hopefully 200% higher than it is today or more over this next year. You don't want to dilute you want to dilute shareholders. You don't want to dilute your Bitcoin right now, and you want to still expand and be the leader in the industry. That's what they're trying to accomplish, and they'll get rewarded for it, is the argument that I have. This process, if approved, is simply the change of the authorized shares and the articles of the incorporation with the state of Nevada, and underlying issuance still has to be approved. So he's saying there's still more issuance approvals that would have to happen for more money to be spent. He said most of our peers have gone through similar procedures. Changing the authorized shares does not dilute anyone. It simply gives the company the flexibility to take advantage of the opportunities that exist in our industry, where weaker players, sometimes burdened by debt and inefficiency, simply cannot survive. So he's saying over the short term, there is nothing that will impact, like there's no new change that will impact shareholder dilution at all. This is just authorization so that they can quickly be prepared to, like, let's say, buy a company that was getting ready to go bankrupt, or some energy company that's affiliated with Bitcoin mining or AI mining or any of this other stuff that might have issues of being able to sustain themselves. We want to be able to quickly take advantage of those things, and we hope from all of our time that you've been with us. Hopefully you guys have been here for years and years and years, right? Since they switched over to Bitcoin, and you've seen how well they've managed themselves. They've done a great job. I would say they're the best managed Bitcoin mining company on earth that's publicly traded, personally. Now, there's questions about a corporate jet. I'm awaiting a conversation from Matthew in order to be able to get more clarity on some of his thoughts, at least from his perspective. If you guys have your own, throw them in chat. But again, this company's done a great job managing expenses, buying Bitcoin, or I should say, buying miners at the right time, starting to stack Bitcoin Bitcoin at the right time. They could have done it a little bit earlier, maybe 6 months, but they did it a lot better, and they were the kind of industry leader outside of Mara, who buys a lot of their Bitcoin and has been brilliant about that. I don't want to go too deep down this rabbit hole. I've already done a lot, but Again, by increasing the authorized, the company has a much shorter path to being able to take advantage of opportunities for growth, consolidation, acquisition, like what I said. This process requires preparation and mailing a proxy for voting for all shareholders. It takes weeks and months. We have always been extremely efficient with capital, and there isn't anything about that that's going to change. Thanks for all the thoughtful questions and feedback, both positive and less positive. After all, it is Bitcoin. It is a Bitcoin mining company. So I thought this was good. Somebody said, thank you for the timely response. We want to support the team. We appreciate the clarification. Maybe in the future you could simultaneously release. Yeah, totally. Release the documentation so that we have this same response as it happens. Totally agree with that. Nothing to hate there. And there were a few others, again, talking about the jet. I'm awaiting a response from Matt. If he gives one, I'll let you guys know. But I do think that CleanSpark is in a good position to take advantage of all this. And sorry I'm taking so much time. It's just I've been buying this aggressively recently. And so there's people that might be buying too. And so I want to make sure that they understand where I'm sitting. And then you can find the rest of this in the mining video. But again, here's what I like. Here's what I like about CleanSpark. Their mining hash rate, it's relentless. It continues to go up. They continue to expand, and they continue to gather Bitcoin and not sell it. And I think that is a super important thing to be doing right now. If you look at revenue growth too, and you compare this to a lot of others, I think they've done a really great job. And again, cash on hand, even though they're down to 130 million, they're just trying to make sure that they have enough to where they can take advantage of an acquisition if it comes up. I think this is the right move. It is what I would do. And again, just look at the efficiency. Look at how they were able to bring down costs for 2022 into 2023 while expanding hash rate up here. Just look at this. So again, operating expenses from Q3 of 2022 all the way to Q4 of 2023, they were able to bring down those costs and stay current with market conditions by having an aggressive mining hash rate expansion policy. And these guys were good last cycle at selling Bitcoin near the top, around 48, 50,000. I don't know. Matt would have to tell us for sure, or I'd have to look up the numbers. But they sold a lot of Bitcoin at really high levels. And I think that's a really smart way of managing it. And they've got over 7,500 now. The last time this chart was updated, it was 6,590. So they're doing all the right things. They're pushing very, very strong growth so that they can be the industry leader. I think that's the way to be, especially if they don't have lots of debt. This is a good move for them. And again, if they sell a decent chunk of Bitcoin near the top and they're able to capitalize on all that capital, right? Last time this was reported, it was $413 million in Bitcoin. Imagine if it's over, $1 billion plus in capital that they have sitting on the sidelines if they sell out of Bitcoin near the top like they did last time, and then they can apply that capital to be able to run their business for the next several years in case there's a downfall like a normal 4-year cycle. So I think they're managing it really well. I just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys have comments about it, let me know. If I missed any comments that people had about it, let me know. I will pull up Cypher real quick before I move on to other stocks. And then we'll get over and talk about Bitcoin related news, Tesla news, and the rest of it, okay? And then do your guys' stock requests. We'll try and have as long of one as we can today. All right. Oh, I forgot. I don't have Cypher in my short list. Let me pull it up. If you guys have anything to add to that, please throw it out. What percentage of your portfolio is in mining right now? You know what I should do? I have been horrific. I got a picture of my daughter from karate sitting over in where I used to have portfolio allocation for everything that I'm invested in. So I will update that before tomorrow morning's market open. I promise to do it. If I don't do it, you guys just bitch at me. Just bitch me out. But I'll do it tomorrow, and that way you'll have that answer very clearly. And I'll try and at least do that once a week. I've just been lazy. But as things are getting crazier, I need to be less lazy and attentive to you guys because, that's the time where people need it. Just looking here at Cypher, again, just to go back to where we were on Cypher. Cypher hit its recent highs not that long ago in July. It's 140, what is it? No, it's 150% increase. So Cypher shows you what it's capable of, right? This thing went up over 2,200% from its low in December of 2022. I think people forget that. Now, if we wipe out a lot of these gains from the recent downturn that we had, it's only up 840%. So it doesn't feel as nearly as nice if somebody held through all of that and they didn't take some profits. Always take profits when you're rebalancing. But this is exciting. This is still very good. This thing can have huge returns. It can have huge returns. And really, depending upon how they manage themselves, they're only $1 billion market cap. And I need to fix this one. I'll relabel this later. They're $1 billion market cap, and they're much smaller than a company like Mara that's 4.5 billion, and CleanSpark, I think, which is closer to the threes. Let's see, 2.24 billion. CleanSpark is stupid cheap. That's why I'm buying that the most. I think that's just insanely cheap, even cheaper than Cypher right now, in my opinion. Even though Cypher is a small cap that could have a higher multiple to the upside. Bitfarms, yeah, sure, dude. I'll do it real quick, and then we'll move on to the other stuff. Sorry, I got the alert because I haven't pulled this one up in a while. So don't wreck your cars if you're listening to this remotely. So Bitfarms, again, it looks like it's probably finding support on what was previous resistance back in August of 2022 and July of 2023. So I think this level, anywhere down between here now and $1.65, is pretty strong support. Could it dip underneath of it? I don't know, man. Again, it just all depends on how the market does in the next 8 weeks. There's so much that could happen between the Fed doing its stuff and then the political environment. If Trump gets arrested, what does that even fucking do to the stock market? I mean, we got to think about it, because if that happens in 2 weeks, when we're getting rate cuts, and if the rate cuts are 50 bips because people are starting to get scared, I mean, it could just get weird. I do need to update this chart. I'll do that too. But yeah, so our range, like, I think a bounce area is 182. Another one is 163 for this one. And again, and then it starts to break out higher. And it's got, I mean, it could do all right. If we just look over here. If you look at this, just draw it right here. There's a lot of breakout potential for this one. Yeah, again, it's a falling wedge. It can go higher. All right, real quick. So we're going to jump over. Actually, we'll do this. We'll jump to PayPal. Let's look at PayPal. Look at Tesla. So PayPal, how did PayPal? PayPal only down 0.59%. I cannot believe that PayPal is finally one of the strongest parts of my investment thesis. I love it. Again, I've been saying this one can drift sideways. It could do it for a while. There is a decent amount of upside in the contracts that I have right now. So if PayPal, it would be so poetically beautiful if PayPal grinds here for a little bit and then has a really strong bust out, and Bitcoin and regular stocks aren't doing that well. That would be just poetic justice for my portfolio if I could use that as a dip buying opportunity. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but I do think it's got a lot more strength. Tesla did good early in the day, and then it started to take a hit. Not too bad, though. It did bounce just maybe a hair. It was down 1.64 at close. It was a little bit lower in the day earlier. I probably need to draw this out better. But again, I think it's hard. You can't really see a lot of volume here. I have to do something where I get much closer in recent history, because there was so much volume in 2019 and 20. That's when everybody jumped into Tesla. Maybe we'll look at that in more detail here soon. But we have to cut a lot of that out. And then when we do that, there we go. Now we got actual volume. So could we go to 196? Maybe. But again, we had a nice bounce last month. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. But I do think that with everything happening, and I'm going to show, Peggy had this really great post talking about everything that can happen with Tesla in the next, between now and 10 and just the end of the year. And I think it was a really good post that we probably just need to take a quick look at here. Since we're on Tesla right now anyway, let's just go through it. And then we'll go into other news. So this is just whole Mars going off. I love that he's gotten all political since he's a liberal, but he's just going off about how people are all of a sudden blaming Elon for everything because politics have changed. And again, there's risk for Elon. There's political risk if Trump doesn't win. Peggy, boy, oh boy, the rest of this year is looking juicy for Tesla. We've got the robo-taxi unveil. We've got ASS release. And if you don't know, that is actual smart summon. I've got some videos of that. It looks really cool. We're going to look at one of them today. It says FSD updates after update. FSD entering China. It looks like there's a note that says that could be happening in a week or two. The Cybertruck getting FSD. I can't wait for that. Cybertruck to be profitable in Q4. New Model Y variant with Juniper. Potentially maybe another one on top of it. Energy kicking up again in full swing. Rate cuts happening to where we should see, at least if nothing else, we've got tons of room for expansion with mega packs and power walls, even at the residential level if we see rate cuts. Q3 and Q4 are set to be the beginning of growth in earnings. I agree with that 100%. Optimus ramping in the Tesla factory. And again, Dojo is still being worked on and is showing all kinds of cool advancements. There's a lot going on with Tesla right now, guys. I said, this is amazing. Elon Musk Tesla is helping with public safety in all kinds of ways. This is showing that police now are starting to look in cities that have a lot of violence and just craziness going on, where there's crimes that they want to capture people. They look around to see if there's a Tesla that's got a camera there, so they can ask the person if they can get the footage, because that's actually easier than a lot of the other ways that they would use to get it. And since there's so many cameras on a Tesla, we can actually start fighting crime with Teslas. I just love that. Also, I posted this earlier in the day. If you didn't see it, it says Tesla inventories dropped pretty hard over the last few weeks. Probably nothing. Ha ha ha. So again, inventory on the Y, down, 3, down, X, down, S, down. So we're seeing inventory starting to clear out on Tesla, guys. People are liking Tesla more and more. And any fears that we have of Tesla not being able to sell cars are gone. And as the rates drop, it'll make it to where they're not losing so much in margins while being able to increase these numbers, while they're making their COGS more efficient, because they make their cars constantly better. That's why the Cybertruck is going to be profitable in Q4. So very important stuff. Also, this isn't Tesla, it's X, but I just wanted to speak to it. It says, just cancel my Chat GPT subscription. There's no access to Sora still, no voice. I was using DALL-E quite enough, but now we have the ability here on X, same text, 4.0 mini is free. There's simply no incentive to pay $20 a month for Chat GPT. X is going to dominate in everything, including payments soon. Here is actually Smart Summon. Watch this. This is so cool.
We're doing another actually Smart Summon test. You can see where the car is parked. I'm going to go ahead and walk to the left side of the street over here.
Speed it up to 1.25.
This is actually one giant roundabout. So it just locked. But you should.
Oh, sorry.
Actually, Smart Summon test. You can see where about around.
We're gonna get a little closer.
Pick me up from right in this spot.
So he walked way far away. He walked way far away, and now he's letting it go. So let's watch.
I'm gonna go ahead and show you the car.
I've got this at 1.5x.
Something naughty, or if it knows that it should not turn left into this roundabout. Just went into reverse.
I'm gonna go faster. Oh no, I don't.
All right, pulling out.
This is 1.5.
All right.
Now this is a roundabout. It can't make a left here.
Look at it go. It's going to go all the way around the roundabout.
It has to. That's the law.
Oh my God, no way.
So it's actually smart. Look at this. He's summoning this car to him. He can watch it through the camera. So he is the emergency driver, and he's still responsible for it because he has direct control over it. This is so fucking cool. I can't wait to get this on my car. Look at this. And it's not going fast. It's going to be slow in the beginning. It'll be a party trick until they start speeding it up. But it's way smarter than the other summon feature. Way smarter. Look at that.
Unreal. And look, it's even pulling over a little bit. Oh my God. Unreal.
So anyway, I think that's cool. I think that's pretty remarkable. Elon thought it was cool too. So this is just, again, all this stuff coming. Breaking, Son of the Walkie said that Omar said FSD 12.53 is really good and significantly more human-like. Tesla FSD just keeps improving. It's hard. I can't wait until I get that. I want it so bad. This I just posted. Somebody said Norway is set to reach close to 100% EV market share. They're at over 92 or 96%. I don't even know what the number reached. But he's saying EVs are amazing in the snow. And I can tell you, I have never had an ICE car that's as good as my Model Y was. I can't wait to drive my Cybertruck in the snow. They're fucking amazing. These are the best cars for that ever. X payments. Again, Linda Yaccarino talks for 40 seconds here about X payments. This stuff is coming. X is going to be the biggest platform on earth for social media, payments, watching videos, everything you can think of, guys. Everything is going to be here.
And soon to be payments on the platform. So think about all of those capabilities that are bringing more and more people around the world to spend most of their lives with sheer utter convenience on the platform. Average time spent now, I think, is up to 35 minutes because there's so many new things to experience and so much information that's at your fingertips. It's only going to increase from there. And think about that, once we launch payments, we'll start in the US, the financial ecosystem that will emerge on the platform. So we're actually redefining what users will come to rely on or believe that a social app will, and soon to be paid.
So anyway, my whole point here is that this app is going to be huge, and as it grows and becomes more powerful, it will merge and combine forces with, like Kathy Wood likes to say, all these things are building at an exponential rate for Elon right now. You've got SpaceX, you've got Starlink, you've got Boring Company, you've got Neuralink, you have X, you have XAI, you have Tesla. It's so crazy how many things there are now. And then you have energy rolled up into all of that too, and robotics coming, and dojo computing, and it's just like there's so much happening right now, and they're all going to feed off of each other, and they're going to make us rich as fuck. And I hope people are paying attention. Also, Elon said yes to this. It said shrink the government. From 1868 to 1913, 90% of all federal revenue came from taxes on liquor, beer, wine, and tobacco. Can you imagine that? Up until 1913, our government funded itself through alcohol, liquor, beer, and wine. Think of how out of control it is now versus what it was then. Why is it so large? Why are we doing this fucking shit? I am so happy that Elon Musk is going to be taking this on with Trump if Trump gets elected and if the Democrats let him. It's going to be amazing. Dalton said, breaking, actually smart summon shipping. Again, here's just release notes on it. I'm not really going to go over that. Sawyer Merritt said, Tesla is the leader in brand loyalty, according to a new report from S&P Global Mobility. Tesla continues its run as the leader in brand loyalty with a rate of 67.8% for the first half of 2024. Customer loyalty has remained relatively constant. It dwarfs everything else. I won't show you the chart. It's just huge. Also, again, just this George Orwellian shit here. You need to think about this. If you support, what do you care about more? Do you care about freedom of speech? Do you care about freedom on X? Do you care about Tesla doing well? Do you care about SpaceX doing well and Starlink doing well and our country being more efficient? Or are you okay with people attacking Elon Musk incessantly in order to diminish him and potentially censor him and this platform in the future? This is only 40 seconds. I'm going to play it. Oh, if I can. I'm not getting it to play audio, so I guess I'm going to have to skip it. It was good. I don't know why it's not working. All right, yeah, it was 94%. So taking up Norway's electric car sales just hit a new record with 94% of the market in August. That's pretty freaking insane if you think about it. We also have record sales in China. Let me see if I have anything else here. Oh yeah, right over here. Tesla Giga Shanghai wholesale sales in China are showing record-breaking paces, like equivalent of Q4 of 2022. So we're looking at some amazing quarters here, and the potential to do even better in the future. I think that's it for Tesla. Let me see here real quick if there's anything else I want to go over. I don't think so. There's a couple others with Bitcoin. We'll just talk about this real quick. So I'll cover this more with the miners, but this is just somebody posting from JM BTC Stock Invest. He's showing miners by the cost to mine, BTC mining gross margins, and energy costs per kilowatt hour. These are interesting metrics, and it'll be some of the stuff that I go over in the other conversation that we have here. So it'll tomorrow. Let's see. John Consorti has some good stuff. Lots of good charts and data points that I wanted to talk to. He said Bitcoin at 60,000 is 4 to 6x less volatile than it was in 2021. $60,000 is no longer a blow-off top level dominated by speculators. It's a consolidation zone where long-term mature holders accumulate and hodl. Cycle after cycle, new floors are set. 60K is the new 20K. He's 100% fucking right about this. Look at BTC volatility. There is none. It is boring as shit. It's been boring and down most of the fucking year. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a consolidation zone. Listen to Joe Consorti. He knows what the fuck he's talking about. Follow him too. He's a good guy. And here's further confirmation that we're right about this. Bitcoin News says Google searches for the term Bitcoin hit their lowest levels since the beginning of the year. Crickets. Nobody gives a fuck about Bitcoin. In fact, let's do this real quick. Let's go to Google Trends right now and see what people think of Bitcoin. Let's just do it in fucking real time. Fuck it. Let's go back even more. No, we don't want wheelchair tennis Paralympics. The fuck? No offense if you're a Olympics participant. All right, here we go. Let's go over a longer time frame. Let's go over the last 5 years. Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at this. Sorry. Look at this. Look at this. This is the lowest of the low times, guys. Basically, these are levels like October of 2020, the very bear of bear markets. That's the levels. We're in a massive consolidation zone. If you can't understand this, you haven't been in here long enough or you're not trying hard enough. Don't be a pussy and run away from this market like a little bitch. This is the time where you accumulate, not financial advice. But again, don't be a pussy. Bitcoin is the most asymmetric bet I've ever seen. This is Lance Leopard. He's kind of a smart guy. I want you to listen to him real quick here. You don't have to. You could be a little bitch and run away, but maybe listen to some people.
Yeah, think about Bitcoin's a commodity, right? The SEC said it's a commodity. It is a commodity. One coin's the same as the next. Okay, fine. Every commodity in the world, if you increase its price, the supply goes up. If gold went to 10,000 tomorrow, we'd mine more gold. Higher price, you would get more. No matter where the price of Bitcoin goes, the issuance schedule is set. There's not going to be any more. It comes out, every block is, 6.25 coins right now, soon to be half of that. The world has never seen anything that really kind of looks like this. I mean, Bitcoin from inception has grown at 145% compound annually, and it's got a lower Sharpe ratio than any other asset. I mean, this is an amazing beast. It really is. But it's volatile, and to some it's scary, and I get all of that. But, I've long contended that anybody who has zero of this is really, really missing the most asymmetric bet that I've ever seen in 40 plus years of making.
So at 40 plus years of business, this guy who is an investment manager, equity manager associates at Equity Management Associates LLC, and somebody who's been in the industry of money for a long time, and he's a smart dude, man. I've listened to him on a lot of things for years, is telling you that this is the best asymmetric bet he's ever seen. So again, more good stuff. Mara CEO. I don't listen to him too often. I do like what he has to say, and so let's just look at this real quick. I don't even know what's all in here.
The implications of Bitcoin becoming a sovereign reserve asset are that every country in the world who wants to hold Bitcoin should have Bitcoin mining in it, which will lead to a huge decentralization of Bitcoin mining. Right. And that will force Bitcoin miners to have to become super efficient at what they do.
Yeah, and you'll have multiple probably competing against each other at a corporate level, and in some countries you'll have states that will do it, and vice versa. Maybe it will only be the state, and there won't be any corporations that are allowed to do it. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, but there will be massive amounts of competition. I do agree with that. This one from Bold Bitcoin, it says, giving every human a wallet on their phone using only 30,000 lines of code. Then it shows Chase and Bank of America and says building over 1 million bank locations, yet 1/4 of people don't have a bank account on this earth. It's kind of funny if you think about it, and sad. Okay, so somebody here, so they got Mark Yusko. I love his socks. And they were asking questions about him, and he was saying, hey. It said Wall Street has more control over Bitcoin price after the introduction of the ETFs. He's made this, statement for a while. Per hedge fund manager Mark Yusko, he argues that institutions are dumping the price by shorting Bitcoin in futures markets, a common tactic used for price and manipulation. I do agree that is possible to an extent for a period of time, but my retort to Mark Yusko, a guy I love and admire, but don't always agree with, especially with politics, would be that this can happen to a degree. I said the key difference is that Bitcoin versus gold manipulation is that BTC is auditable due to its public ledger, even though it's pseudo-anonymous, and that the underlying asset cannot have an increase in the value of it. probably put that in there too, in the value of it. So again, like there's going to be a reduction in the new amount of Bitcoin being created every 4 years. So you have a reduction in new supply, but at the same time, it's not going to all of a sudden just go a lot higher because there's a massive amount of demand. That's something that gold can do, right? Miners can start mining a shit ton more. But this is so key, and fucking listen to this. Miners that mine more in the Bitcoin world do not fucking increase the supply. Think about that. In gold, they do. In Bitcoin, they don't. Get this around your fucking skull. You have to understand this. It's something I don't think people that have been in here for like a half a decade or more even understand half the time, is that all it does is make the hash rate difficulty increase. The payout doesn't fucking increase. So this is so important to understand that sure, you can have some market manipulation, but for the first time in history, the big players are the fucking little guys with a couple of percent to wave around. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. And I'm even talking about BlackRock. So it's just important to understand that there's not as much of this as gold. Not nearly as much. Remember that. Vivek put, hey, is Michael Saylor buying $2 billion worth of Bitcoin in the coming today? He probably will be soon if he wasn't buying a little bit earlier in the day or over the weekend. We'll find out soon enough. He's got to report in a timely fashion. This said, Bitcoin Magazine said 9 hours ago, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, piece of shit human being, we have to get back to the world of crypto. Well, yes, he wants to, right? Because he wants to trade CBDCs and stable coins, preferably ones that are not US dollars. And he wants to, do like a digital yuan, Russian digital rubles type thing. And then again, being able to just use shitty cryptos to trade, or even Bitcoin. So they do want to use this because it's a way to get around sanctions. And that's all I said. So, and I also said this. Oh, this is kind of important too. I said that's to avoid sanctions, but one has to think about Kamala Harris. What would she do as the president? Would she be more likely to embrace crypto or Bitcoin? Or right now, there's a bunch of SEC and other bullshit that she's been going after Bitcoin for. Even now, so we got multiple attacks. OpenSea was one, and we've got a new one today from the SEC that I'll show you here in a second. From the existing administration, of which she is the vice president. So I said, what do you think she's more likely to do? Is it to embrace Bitcoin and crypto, which she hasn't done? All she's done is crypto for Harris, send me money, right? She hasn't said anything about her reserves. She doesn't, and then her existing administration continues to attack the industry. Or would she outlaw it in the name of fighting countries like Venezuela that are doing bad things? That's the Elizabeth Warren approach. That's probably the Gary Gensler approach. Is that her approach? I don't know. And this says Vivek, Swiss Central Bank is buying MicroStrategy shares. That's all cool. It's all good. It's all fine and dandy. Let me see here. Bitcoin critics be like, Bitcoin's down 8% this week. I'm not surprised. I warned you that it's a bubble back in 2013. So true. There's going to be everybody comes out of the woodwork to talk shit right here. Peter Schiff will be around a lot this next week. Let me see. There's one. Again, I want to find that SEC one. I'm going to find that real quick here. Let me see. SEC. No, let me find it over here. I need to ask Grok. Let's ask the Grok. Former unrealized gains. Yeah, no, we know that. Why the SEC pivot? No, these are all old fucking things. God dang it. I might have to ask Grok, yo. Crypto fund. So much junk. Here we go. Why didn't we see an SEC announcement about the largest rating agencies being slapped with a lawsuit? The S&P ratings was slapped with a $20 million fine. How egregious. No, that's not. I'll try and I'll find it for the next stream. I'll find the specific article. If you guys know what it is too, let me know any keywords that I should be looking for it. Anyway, so Bitcoin. I'm bond to Bitcoin. I think good things are happening for Bitcoin. That's where I'm going to leave that one. And again, I think PayPal, did we pull that up? We did briefly for a second. PayPal, I don't know that there's a lot in the way of news. There's probably a couple of things that I can talk to. There's probably like 2 posts. Let me just go back here real quick and show you. And then the rest of this, we won't be looking at anything, and then we'll jump over to stock picks. And I'll try and get through the list. We'll see how good I can do today. But we're going to try. All right, so let me see here. PayPal. Let me see if I got anything new. No, nothing too new. The only thing that was probably out there, Data Investing posted something where Alex Chris was talking to like an account that had less than 3,000 people that was complaining about something and saying, we'll fix it, and having a dialogue with them and getting them hooked up with support. I think that's cool. I think that's very much, what Alex Chris is capable of. And again, I think we're in a grind zone and we're getting ready to break up. Hood, was it up to no good? No, not too bad, actually. Down 3.73%. This is one where if I get some good bounce in PayPal or something else that wants to go higher, maybe Tesla. My hope is Tesla and PayPal. I think those are going to be my strong ones. If I can get that, if we had some weird head and shoulders thing and test back to the 14 range, I would buy the shit out of those options that I have right now. I think that this one is still very strong. We just jumped so much. You got to realize how much we jumped. We jumped over 50%. That kind of impulse is so powerful. And again, well, I can't even say head and shoulder because, again, we already went down here. So maybe the worst we do is like 17-15 with Hood. I don't think it's going to be that bad. It's showing a lot of strength. SoFi got hit today. 5.76%. So it's back testing key volumes. It could find support here. It could find support around 720. But again, such an amazing monthly close. You can't tell me that you have this kind of monthly close where you're right up against the .618 and SoFi doesn't start to show some strength here soon. I just don't see that world. I don't. Square back tested towards peak volumes. Will it maintain or bounce higher? I don't know. It's trying to. I do think it's probably the bottom. I just don't know if there's any good asymmetric bets, but maybe this is a good time to place a stock bet on Square. Palantir down 3.08% and more than 1 after hours. I think that's totally normal. It's back testing the fib. Can it hold that? I don't know. It could go down even further. Let's see, can we go to weekly here? Can we get our volume profile to come back? Do I need to add that again? Where are you, sir? You are not there. I will do that right now. Visible range volume profile. I'll have to fix this later because they're going to be really big. But I'll save this so I don't lose it. But again, we've got growing amounts of volume underneath of us. I do think that the 27 to 25 range at the very least would be a strong level of support for Palantir, unless the markets just start to melt down. But it did get hit pretty good with over 4% drop today. ARCG got smacked, I think, 4.81%. So it got hit about as hard as Palantir, maybe a little bit worse. I do think that it's going to bounce really well. I do need PayPal and Tesla to take off, though, if I really want to do more dip buying. There might be some other options, but I've exhausted a lot of them. So that's probably going to be it. Flux, I'll pull up the tiny ones real quick too, and then we'll get to your guys' stock request, and I'll start heading towards comments. Flux down 3.36%. Again, its next level is anywhere between like 3 and 2.9. I'm not really thinking about buying dips. The only reason I would do this is if I got too lucky on PayPal and Tesla, and I was looking to distribute more capital, and I thought this was a good opportunity. Otherwise, I wouldn't. All right, let me see here. I'm going to get caught up with chat as fast as I can. Gimme Bitcoin, Silas says. Gold mining gone wild. Devastate the environment, the energy used, the chemicals, all sit in a bank vault. Yeah. Gold is super bad compared to Bitcoin. Shale, Andres Antonopoulos 2.0. I love Andres Antonopoulos. He is such a hero. Doesn't get out as much anymore, but man, did he help create this ecosystem with just talking about it and ensuring its livelihood in the early days. So I will always be loyal to that man. He taught me about Bitcoin. He's the first person who really made it just fucking amazing and where it just smacked me in the face. I was God-smacked after listening to Andres. Chris Federal, Hammer, that point, brother, supply and demand. It's very important. Alex Garcia, Maduro needs to go. I agree, sir. I hope he goes from Venezuela, and I hope the bastards Lula disappear from Brazil, and that Justin Trudeau fucks off, and that we see Le Pen running France in the not-too-distant future, along with a few other moves that need to happen. Chris Federal, all misdirection from Harris on Bitcoin. Yes, I agree. She's promising nothing. She will go after it. Albert Pav, does increases not only difficulty but also wipes out smaller miners as they cannot outmine larger ones? Yes, there's a reason I'm not mining Bitcoin. That's a very good point, Albert. So exahash equals more chances of successfully mining BTC. Yes, based upon probability, you make up a larger amount of the network, and you've got a certain random chance of getting paid in BTC. So the more hash rate you have, the greater the payout. There are different methods of mining. There's like single mining. There's different ways of doing it to try and get paid. I won't go into all that right now. Maybe I can do that in another video. But it's complicated. But yeah, you want more exahash. You want to be the largest miner, and then you want to sell your Bitcoin at the top. Those are the rules. Silas, Peter Schiff's ship in German has sailed. Yes. Silas, I think they're buying Bitcoin even if with an ironic attitude. Who do you think's buying it? Dougie Fresh 69, keep getting commercials every couple of minutes. You can pay. So, I do want to say something actually. I am going to try and stream for people who do not want to financially support the channel. I am going to stream on X2. I don't believe there will be, when I dual stream with it, I'm going to try and do this. It's all changed, so I'm going to try and give it another try. I don't know how soon I'll do it. Maybe it'll be this week, maybe not. Maybe it'll be next week, but I am going to look at trying to get on X and doing it from there too. And with that, I don't think you'll get near the commercials. So if you're not somebody who pays for YouTube, it should help you a lot. But I've got the same setting. It's set to balanced ads, just like it always has been. But that should help for people that don't want that and aren't willing to pay for YouTube or support YouTube. If you watch it on X, that should help your experience a lot. Albeit you couldn't comment. You'd have to comment on YouTube and then be watching on X, if that makes sense. Prithvi, ready. Hey, Jesse, asking this was with lots of respects. Could you explain your MicroStrategy trade on your portfolio? Looks like the total share are 400 with 141 average, 49K, but profit is 100K. How is it possible? I think there might be a glitch in it too, under here. I think it's a glitch. You know what? I think there's a glitch. There's probably an accounting glitch that needs to be fixed. These are rare with Ally, but every once in a while you have to have them fixed. It's not as good as it looks here, most likely, or the cost basis is wrong. One of the two. So it's a glitch. All right, let me see here. What else did we have? Oh, that's annoying, Dougie. I'm planning to end my YouTube Premium. I thought membership prevented ads. It does, actually. Membership does prevent ads. Well, membership with me doesn't prevent ads. Membership with me gives you the ability to talk and chat and then make stock requests and just support me. But yeah, the membership with YouTube helps prevent ads. Chris Federal, you're going to kill me with that notification noise. Sorry. I will see. I don't know if there's an easy way to neuter trading view notifications because I constantly open up new ones, and if there is a alert that went off with something I haven't looked at in a very long time, it will trigger. I'll see if there's a way to do that before I start the stream. Ads kicked my ass last week. Now this week they're gonna completely. It's so weird. Weird. There shouldn't be a difference. This isn't set any different than normal. That's strange. Jesus, and then I get one of those fucking notifications right now. God, sorry. Let me see. I don't know what it was for, though. Fuck. Yeah, I'll try and make sure those are turned off next time, guys. Use Brave, no ads. I think that won't stop your YouTube ads, though, Les. I don't think, if that's what they're talking about. Needs 55. Smash like button. Yeah, thank you, if you could. Yeah, sorry, dude. I'll try and see if I can figure out how to disable that from happening in the future. All right, let's go to stock requests here. If anybody has any, throw them out now. Otherwise, we'll end pretty quick here. I don't have much else to talk about. Again, I'll be talking about political stuff probably tomorrow. Tonight, I have my sister-in-law in town, and she's a sweetie, so I got to see her. It does stop YouTube ads, but do you get to see the video? Does it work that way? Shit, if it does, that's awesome. Yeah, guys, try Brave. If Brave gets rid of the ads for you, use it. Yeah, shit. Les said it does. Whoa. If you don't have to watch YouTube ads without paying for premium, you guys should try Brave. Let me know your experience with it, guys. And if it's good for you, throw it out there. DKNG, let's pull it up. I got to look at NVIDIA too. I'm going to pull up NVIDIA first, and then we'll do DKNG. Again, thanks as always for the support. Brave stops all ads. I didn't know that. See, I haven't used it in so long because it just didn't do well with video. I should maybe give it another chance. I had problems where the video feed was really blurry, but fuck, maybe I'll try it. I'm going to try it. NVIDIA, again, got smoked. So here's me. I was like, hey guys, this is great. We're going to find support here and bounce. This is what we've done since. So again, I do things based upon probability. They aren't always right, okay? People with NVIDIA have gotten their asses handed to them. Down almost 10% today, 2.26 in after hours. Just fucked. Now, we could bounce, or the next step is 96. Like down here, guys, 96, 97. So it could drop a ways. Let's look at DKNG, and then if I'll go back and try and look at others. NVIDIA just received a subpoena from the Department of Justice. What for? All right, I got to look at that. We'll pull up DKNG in a second, guys. I got to see this. That ain't great. Man, I swear to God, the Biden administration wants to fucking destroy this market. They want to destroy it. There's still, the SEC is going after people. We've got NVIDIA getting subpoenaed. We've got Google. We've got gets Department of Justice subpoena and escalating antitrust investigation. In case you wanted to know, NVIDIA was down 10%. Oh, man, they want to crash this market before the election. That does not seem smart. Wow. Okay. I wouldn't do that going into an election. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. This is not helping them. If the stock market is crashing, then all the liberals that want to vote Democrat are going to not. I don't understand why you would do that. Do you guys understand? Can you tell me in chat? Tell me in chat, guys. Why the fuck would they do that? That makes no sense. Yeah, Dougie Fresh is the smartest person in the room. You guys need to listen to somebody whose name is Dougie Fresh 69. He's going to take over this channel starting next week, right, Dougie Fresh? And then he will talk to you about his investment advice because he sold last week. And I was calling him an idiot. Well, I wasn't, but, you know. All right, DKNG. I said we could drop. I just didn't think the whole market was going to go with it, and it does appear to be doing that. Again, measured move for something like this is a long ways down because we got potentially a head and shoulder pattern. So I was making the argument that this thing could go down and maybe even test towards the 24 range. With the rest of the market taking a shit, that seems very doable. Redvin. I'll pull that up real quick, and then I'll try and get caught up with your guys' comments. I can see stuff going back and forth. You guys just talk amongst yourselves. Redfin, again, rates are dropping. Is Redfin going to go up? I mean, it was getting a bounce, right? It definitely looks bouncy based on volume. And it could go a lot higher just to get back to kind of like, we don't really hit peak volumes from where we're at until 13, 14. So this thing could rip, and it's up 1% today when the rest of the market was shitting itself. 0.75% in after hours. Yeah. Hey, man, sometimes weird feelings and guts can be more right than probabilities. It's just the way it works. So good on you, dude. I won't shit talk you for it. I promise that. Unless you become too annoying, and then I'll let you know. But yeah, so 13 all the way up to really the moving averages in the 20s, guys. So it could, this thing could rip. This thing could rip. But I don't know a lot about their business. Let's look. I'm just going to look real quick here at visual stocks just because I think it is interesting to look at. It's an interesting play, right? Now, again, not profitable in a while, but let's look here. One could argue that maybe they could be profitable. The 2023 revenue was just fucked. So they probably got neutered into the end of 2022. They were on a massive revenue ramp. The thing I don't like is their debt levels are high, but they are going down, right? They're going down, but their cash is too. Operating expenses, I would love to see these lower than they are. I don't like how they had this massive jump in 2021. You think they would have been able to match some of their expense load here to kind of clean things up, but they got a little bit of positive cash flow. Their net income arguably might actually get closer to positive. If I was these guys, I would focus on revenue growth and growth as a company. They did buy back their stock. Q2 of 2024, they started buying, and you can see more buying and selling versus selling in Q2 of 2023 too. So, but institutional ownership going down. Future estimates not looking really positive for the next 3 quarters. Are they lowballing and will outperform, or is this what we're looking at, which would keep them in negative EPS? So maybe they want to bounce. They've got volume support underneath of them, but maybe they don't if they don't actually perform. So we'll see, but they could maybe double. Not really my bet, but maybe it's something somebody likes. All right, let me go back because I feel like I'm getting too. I have never seen a single YouTube ad after I started using it a couple of years ago. That's crazy. If they must have some way of bypassing it without requiring monetization. That's fucking cool. I knew they could avoid ads like AdGuard and Ad Blocker, but I didn't think the video ads would stop. If you can do that, do it, guys. Les Walter, great for watching music. Join John Nigerian, ASTS, please. Yes, sir. I'll do that real quick because you're my buddy. All right. Yeah, been here a while. All right, Johnny. ASTS, Space Mobile. What a run. Ugh, this frightens me. It frightens the fuck out of me because this company went from falling off a cliff down to $2 from original debut at $25 to now hitting almost $38. Now let's look at their financials. So this is a $8 billion company. At $8 billion, you better have some pretty good looking financials, in my opinion. Okay? In my opinion, you should have good financials. What was this again? ASTS. ASTS. So let's look over here. They look like shit. It's horrible. Here's the deal. There's either something that somebody knows where this company is really great, or it's a complete fucking scam and it's going to swallow all your fucking money. Shares outstanding. Look at this. Q4 2023, 90 million, roughly. I think that's what it's saying, to 141 million. Massive dilution. Record-breaking net income losses. Cash flow still not even positive. What are the estimates? What the fuck? You got to give me more news on this one, dude. What is this? What is this? How do we go to 50 million in revenue? Is there a new contract that's amazing? That would be the only reason to buy this. But again, has that news already been out there? This thing went from $2 to $38. I would say that it's priced in unless they can start getting cash flow positive. Priced in. Jesus, isn't Dougie a bundle of joy? It's funny how much you get when you take profits to protect your capital. It does help. Dougie Fresh 69, enjoy holding your bags. Thanks, Dougie Fresh 69. See clear. Jesus, isn't Dougie? Okay, that's where that came in. Dougie, we're generally expecting a correction this month. Keep some cash to buy then. Your mom. You're a lot of fun today. Kane laughs. Dougie's all cash. He has about a goal because he's just a weird feeling about it. But yeah, dude, you should start. When are you going to buy, though? That's the important part, Dougie. Are you going to buy at the right time? Because now you're in cash, bro. Are you going to hold in cash too long? How long are you going to hold? When are you going to buy? Let us know. John Nigerian, lol, again, thinly. I'm behind with the live streams, but CleanSpark Jet represents only 0.78% of their total assets. Yeah, I figured that's probably the only argument you need. We'll see if Matt responds to any of it too, but I think that's probably a good enough argument right there. The return on investment, the Jet will be significant considering they operate in multiple locations. I think their executive team especially, that's a really good point actually, again. With all the flying they're probably doing, trying to figure out who they should acquire, maybe in the future join forces with. There's probably all kinds of conversations going on in the Bitcoin mining space because these miners have been fucked for anywhere 6 to 9 months, depending upon how inefficient they are and how poorly they've managed their money. And that's probably something I need to focus on too. when we talk about the Bitcoin mining video. I'll probably do a cursory glance at a high level from the financials and everything I know about the miners, and other data points that exist from Sebastian Ski and others in regard to efficiency levels. James from Invest Answers. Probably look at all that, and I'll kind of give my thoughts behind it. And then maybe we do deeper dives into different miners, depending upon what people want to talk about. But yeah, I think you're really right. CleanSpark has it very justified. Dougie Fresh 69, dude's pissed because he's getting wrecked, but I'm the idiot last week for selling. Oh, but you're still down for the year. I'm not even in NVIDIA. Wow, you guys be nice to each other in chat, guys, please. I don't want to have to get rid of people. I don't mind fun, but be nice to each other. Riley, what are your top holdings in your other long-term portfolio? I will be showing you. I've got one main portfolio that I share, but it makes up about 75% of my exchange-related wealth. So I will show you that, or I'm sorry, it's probably like 80% now of my exchange-related wealth. So it's the vast, and it does the best job of like showing you what my portfolio allocation is. So I'll have that updated by tomorrow morning, Riley. Silas, and is NVIDIA subpoena about shipments to the PRC? That would be my guess. I would guess something like that too. Maybe they're trying to crack down on what they're sending overseas. I would guess, but I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet. We'll have to take a look and figure it out. Is there anybody else I'm missing? If I forgot you at the beginning of the chat, throw it out right now. Otherwise, we're going to call it good. And I'm going to go and eat some delicious food from my mother-in-law. TMF TLT. I actually will show that real quick. Very interesting price action. Again, I wish I would have owned more of this. I had TMF. I just sold it too quickly, buying into Tesla. But it was fun, and I've still done really well off of that position, so I'm not going to bitch too much. But TLT, again, it was down 54%, the 20-year bond, from a period of April of 2020, roughly March of 2020, its peak, to the low in October of 2023. So over a period of years, this thing has moved. I would never buy options on this. I would only do something like TMF. But again, we're seeing a bottoming in this. I think we can trend down here for a while before we make our launch into the hundreds, like the 120 range. But we could, it could happen sooner. Who knows? I've been wrong about other things. I come in peace. Nice. TMF. Yeah, so again, TMF was up almost 5% today. So you did really well off of this. So if you were using this as cash, as I've talked about, this treated you really well. And again, it could bounce. This thing, if we do see a real nice bounce in TLT, we could see stuff as crazy as the 90s to 100s in TMF. It could get really fun in there. I don't think that's coming till later, or at least that I'll have an opportunity to use that as a hedge in the future. We'll see if that ends up being true, but I've got pretty strong conviction about that. I think that's probably it, guys. I'm probably going to call it. I'll do Apple real quick. Hut, my favorite miner. Yeah, not my favorite miner. Not my favorite miner. Apple. I'm probably going to call it at Apple, though. Sorry, Hut, bro. I will, next time, I'll give you Hut. I promise. Even though I don't love it. I do love Susie. She's a cutie. I wouldn't mind hanging out with Susie. God, did I just fuck that up for the second time? AAPL. But she's cool. She hasn't reached out to me in a while. Susie, it hurts. When I do this next broad, generalized mining video, maybe I'll get your attention. We'll see. Apple down 2.72%. They've got so much cash. 22 billion-ish, maybe more now. But it's a dying company, in my opinion. I love Apple. I can't say a dying company, but it's just got no growth. There's no growth. That's what I should say. Jesse must go to the mothership now. Yes, exactly. Got to get beamed up. Susie the cutie. That's what I say. Don't tell my wife. I'm kidding. She might see this. Clear. Yeah, so Clear. Next time, I'll hook you up with Hut, bro. But otherwise, it was a good one. I think we got a lot done in an hour and 40 minutes. I think we talked about a lot. I really appreciate you guys. Anybody who can comment afterwards, it's much appreciated. If you could like the video, do all those things. I love you guys. Take it easy. We'll close. I guess we're buying the dip. We're gonna buy the fucking dip today, guys. We're gonna buy the dip. Or you know what? Maybe. Yeah, no, we're gonna do that. You know what? We're gonna be real. We're not even going to be funny today. We're going to show you a video that does a good job showing why Bitcoin can save humanity when combined with Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy and all these wonderful people that are going to help deregulate our government if we're not fucking stupid and our existing government isn't fucking corrupt. This is what's going to happen, and it's going to be beautiful. And if it doesn't happen this way, it's going to happen eventually anyway. I love you guys. You take it easy. See you tomorrow in the political video. And then again, I'll try and grind out that minor video. Get it done some point tomorrow, earlier if I can. And then the market recap. Peace out all. Love you guys. Bye.
With time, a seed becomes a tree, sheltering us. With time, a skill becomes a talent, empowering us. With time, a technology becomes a tool, enhancing us. By nature, time gives value to almost everything, yet the very thing our society gives value to, our money, loses value over time. This paradox warps our reality by defying the laws of nature, and it stems from the belief that $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. Meaning money must always lose value. We built our reality off of this model. Time value of money, we call it, but in reality, this is just dogma. Since we can keep making more of it, we end up destroying our own purchasing power. So we put it in stocks, put it in bonds, put it in land, put it in funds, put it in crypto, put it in gold. But we are not oracles, so what do we know? We know that it's hard to get by. We know some people may never retire. Is time value of money a lie since it discounts the monetary value of our time? If time is money, how are they moving in different directions? We're working longer for less, we end up just giving away our freedom. Give up liberty for policies, give up our agency to the authorities. Because when our foundation is built on complexity, we simplify humans by giving up our humanity. Reality check, we've strayed too far from the truth. The world economy's a wreck when 1 + 1 no longer equals to 2. And if life's created from the truth, along the way something got screwed. And we let our own dogma subjectify value. We divorce action from consequence. We defy the law of physics when we made scarcity infinite. We disregard the language of mathematics. So our systems are built in a fallacy. Our society's based in a fantasy. In the absence of truth, we're living in the shadows of our own reality. And that's the root problem. Man-made rules can be broken. As our trust crumbles, so does the progress of our civilization. But one thing remains constant. No one can cheat nature. So why not use it to architect a stronger base layer? The most beautiful buildings engineered based on these consequences. Natural law drives rigor needed to build something enduring, uncompromising on principles that accounts for the flaws. Because when our lives are at stake, the gravity of truth cannot be ignored. So if our monetary systems were designed like structures, it would embody energy and matter so the money itself matters. An unbreakable limit enforced by costliness of creation ensures the structure holds value for many generations. A rule-based system governed by maths builds a transparent ecosystem that can self-error correct. With no one in charge, no words are taken as fact. Only work from computation can actualize truth of timestamps, and like water flowing off a cliff down the path of gravity, computational energy makes time flow one way only. It is this irreversibility which gives value to our money by upholding consensus and scarcity to create one shared reality. Now the map is the territory. Now we're working with high fidelity. Now money is truthfully time and energy bound by finality. Now we have the ability to manifest each of our dreams and build a world that's much more reflective of all of our needs. And that's the purpose of money. Merely a tool to shape our reality. Merely a function to harness and express individuality. It's just a way to live freely. Just a means for possibility. Because when we build on integrity, we enhance the beauty of humanity. The most beautiful societies are built from diversity of our thoughts that come to life when we're empowered individually. Because when our money tomorrow is worth more than today, we shift from predicting to creating the future ourselves. And when our money grows in value, we grow thoughtful in how we use it. Natural law drives rigor needed to fund something enduring, something truly worth it, something something that pushes the sky's limit, something only possible when our real value and consequence exist in boundless virtual dimensions. Imagine potential creations, fueled by monetary life force, lasting for many generations. We will venture into new territories and unleash these possibilities once we learn to embrace the truth of our reality.